I want you to think about the most irrational thing you have ever done for someone you loved. Not the flowers, not the anniversary dinner, not the grand gesture that got photographed and posted. The real thing. The thing you've never said out loud. The decision you made in the dark that you would make again without hesitation because the person you made it for was worth every single consequence. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you're watching this and you've loved someone, truly loved someone, then you have a story like that. Everyone does. We just don't talk about them in polite company. Let me start with the men, because I think men carry a particular kind of love that the world doesn't have language for yet. There is a version of love that lives in the male spirit that is so deep, so protective, so absolute, that it bypasses logic entirely. It doesn't ask permission from reason, it doesn't check with caution. It looks at a woman, the specific woman, and makes a decision so complete that everything else becomes secondary. Her comfort, her safety, her happiness, her dreams, the way she sleeps, the way she worries, the things that keep her up at night that she tries to hide because she doesn't want to be a burden. A man who loves a woman that way sees all of it, and something in him rises up and says, "Not on my watch, not while I'm standing." And sometimes that love takes him somewhere complicated. Men have done extraordinary things for love, and men have done dangerous things for love, and sometimes those are the same thing. A man who steals bread to feed his family. A man who works 3 jobs so his woman never has to feel the cold. A man who walks into rooms he doesn't belong in, has conversations he shouldn't be having, makes moves that bend the rules, because the woman waiting at home deserves better than what the rules were offering him. Is it right? That's not even the question he's asking. The question he's asking is she worth it? And the answer is always yes. The answer has always been yes. There is something ancient about this. Something that predates law and social structure and everything we've built to organize ourselves. At the core of a man who loves deeply is a protector, a provider, someone whose entire nervous system is wired to say, "She will not suffer if I can help it. She will not want if my hands still work. She will not be afraid if I am between her and the thing that threatens her." That's not toxic. That's not control. That's devotion in its most raw and unpolished form. And it is one of the most beautiful things in the world when it's aimed at the right person. But let me turn the lens now, because women carry a love that the world has romanticized for centuries but still somehow underestimated. A woman who loves a man gives him things that cannot be quantified. She gives him her peace. She gives him the softest parts of herself, the parts she learned early to protect, to armor, to keep hidden, and she places them in his hands and hopes he knows what he's holding. She rearranges her life for love, quietly, without press release. She changes her plans, her timelines, her geography sometimes. She carries emotional weight that would collapse most people, and she carries it without complaint, because she decided this man was worth steadying herself for. She pours into him on the days he can't pour into himself. She sees the version of him that he's becoming before he can see it himself, and she holds that vision on his behalf until he grows into it. And she sacrifices. In ways the world often doesn't applaud because the world is still catching up on how to honor what women give. She sacrifices career moments for family moments. She sacrifices sleep for children who came from a love she chose. She sacrifices the version of herself that existed before this love, and she builds a new one. Expanded, deeper, sometimes more complicated, because love grew her in directions she didn't plan for. And here's the thing about what women give that men sometimes miss. It is not weakness. The softness a woman offers in love is not her vulnerability. It is her choice. It is the most powerful thing she possesses, the ability to be fully seen by someone, and she is choosing to give it to you. That is not a small thing. That is everything. Now let's talk about the dangerous part, the part this game made me think about. Because in this game, I am running missions that aren't exactly legal. I'm taking things that don't belong to me. I'm moving through a world that wasn't built in my favor and finding ways to win anyway. And there's something thrilling about it. Not because crime is glamorous, but because the mission has a purpose. Because at the end of the mission, there is something or someone that makes the risk make sense. And I genuinely think, that is how certain men experience love in real life. Not every man, not most men, but there is a specific kind of love, fierce, consuming, slightly reckless love, that makes a man feel like the mission is justified by the person waiting at the end of it. He's not stealing for greed. He's not taking unfair advantage for sport. He's doing it because the woman he loves deserves a world that the legitimate path wasn't building fast enough. Is that rational? No. Is that healthy as a long-term strategy? Also no. But is it human? Is it one of the most deeply human impulses that exists? The willingness to burn yourself down for the person you love? Completely. Absolutely. Irreversibly, yes. Romeo didn't calculate. Orpheus walked into the underworld. Every great love story has a moment where someone crosses a line that cannot be uncrossed, and they cross it with their eyes wide open, because love looked at logic and said, I outrank you. And here is what makes it romantic rather than reckless, when it goes both ways. Because the love I'm describing, the dangerous, irrational, all-consuming love, it only becomes truly beautiful when both people are carrying it. When the man running the mission knows that the woman at home is holding the fort with everything she has. When she knows that every risk he takes has her name on it. When she is not just the destination, but the reason, and she knows it, and she honors it by giving him something equally irreplaceable in return. Her belief, her loyalty, her presence, her willingness to stay when staying is the harder choice, her refusal to make him feel small for the moments when the mission fails, her ability to look at a man who is tired and scared and still fighting and say, I see you, not just what you provide, you. That exchange, that specific exchange between two people who are both all in, that is the most romantic thing that exists. Not the grand gesture, the mutual recklessness, the shared decision that this love is worth whatever it costs. So I want to say something to the men watching this. The love you carry, the protective, providing, will move mountains for her love, that is not a burden. That is a gift. But direct it wisely, because love without wisdom becomes obsession. Sacrifice without boundaries becomes resentment. And a man who gives everything without ever being refueled eventually gives from an empty place, and everyone around him feels the difference. Make sure she knows, not just through what you do, through what you say. Tell her what she means to you. Tell her what you do for her, not to impress her, because she deserves to know the weight of what she holds in your heart. Most women are carrying love stories in their chests that the person they love has never heard out loud. And to the women watching, the man who loves you like that, who would cross lines for you, who loses sleep over your peace, who carries your name in every decision he makes, honor that. Not by being passive, not by being grateful and small, but by matching it. By being the kind of love that makes his sacrifice feel like the best decision he ever made. By letting him see that his love landed, that it changed something, that it mattered. Because a man who loves deeply and is loved deeply in return, that man becomes something extraordinary. Not just a provider, not just a protector, a person who is fully alive in a way that the unloved version of him never was. Love is dangerous. It always has been. It makes you irrational. It makes you brave. It makes you willing to run missions you never imagined and carry weights you didn't know you could carry and cross lines you swore were permanent. And it is worth every single consequence. Not because love conquers all, that's a greeting card, but because a life lived fully loved and fully loving even with all its complications and sacrifices and moments of beautiful recklessness, is the only life that feels like it actually happened. Run the mission. She's worth it. He's worth it. You're worth it. That's the rant.